Hello, everyone. In this lecture, I'll be explaining another deeply thoughtful sonnet by William Shakespeare, Sonnet 122. If you're new here, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more Shakespearean lessons in simple language. Before we begin, let me give you a little background to help you understand the poem better. This sonnet is about how deeply and permanently Shakespeare remembers the person he loves, the fair youth. In this poem, he is speaking directly to this young man and says that he doesn't need any written notes or gifts to remember him. Instead, his memory of the youth is written in his heart and mind, where it will stay forever, or at least as long as he is alive. The message of sonnet that true love doesn't need reminders. The poet says that using something to help him remember the youth would actually mean he is starting to forget him, which he is not. His love and memory are so strong that they live naturally inside him without needing anything from the outside. Let's now go through it line by line. Thy gift, thy tables are within my brain. Shakespeare is speaking directly to the fair youth, the young man he deeply admires and loves. The word tables refers to a small notebook or tablet used in Shakespeare's time to write down important thoughts or memories, something like a diary. And thy gift means that this notebook was a gift given by the fair youth to the poet. Shakespeare is addressing him and saying, "The notebook that you gave me to remember you is not needed, because I have already stored the memory of you deeply in my own mind." The phrase "within my brain" shows that the poet doesn't need a physical object to remind him of the youth. His love and memory are already permanently engraved in his thoughts. And then says, full charactered with lasting memory, he continues the thought from the first line and emphasizes just how deeply the memory of the fair youth is engraved in his mind. The word full charactered means completely written or fully inscribed, like something carefully carved or marked in detail. Lasting memory means a memory that does not fade or disappear with time. So in simple words, Shakespeare is saying, my mind is completely filled with your image, like writing that has been deeply carved into something and will last forever. He's comparing his memory to a notebook that is not just lightly written in, but fully and permanently marked with the presence of the fair youth. And then says, which shall above that idle rank remain. It means that the memory of the fair youth, which is firmly and permanently written in his mind, will always remain above anything ordinary, useless, or forgettable. The word which refers to the gift and tables, a kind of notebook or memory, that the poet mentioned in the earlier line, symbolizing the mental record of the young man. The phrase idle rank means a low or unimportant position, something that has no real value or purpose. By saying the memory will remain above that, Shakespeare means the thought of the fair youth will not be placed in that low, idle category. Instead, it will stay in a higher, more meaningful and honored place in the poet's mind. In simpler terms, he is expressing that his mental memory of the young man is far too valuable to ever be forgotten or treated like something unimportant. It is not just a passing thought or a casual memory. It has a special, lasting importance in his heart and mind. Beyond all date, even to eternity. It means that the memory and love he holds for the fair youth will last forever, beyond any fixed date, time, or limit. The phrase beyond all date means past any possible ending or deadline. Nothing can measure or limit it, even to eternity, strengthens this idea by saying that his thoughts of the young man will live on forever, for all time, without fading. In simple words, Shakespeare is expressing that his memory and affection for the fair youth is not something temporary or short-lived. It is so deep and strong that it will go on endlessly, outlasting even time itself. This shows the timeless and eternal nature of true love and memory in or at the least, so long as brain and heart. Shakespeare adds a humble condition to his earlier claim of eternal memory. He's saying, if not forever, then at least as long as my brain and heart are working, as long as I'm alive and able to think and feel. The brain represents memory and thought, while the heart symbolizes emotions and love. So even if his memory doesn't last forever in the literal sense, it will definitely last for as long as he is mentally and emotionally alive. This line softens the bold statement of eternal remembrance in the previous line and brings it down to a human level, showing both the strength of his feelings and the natural limits of life. Have faculty by nature to subsist. It means that the brain and heart will keep working as long as nature allows them to function. The word faculty refers to the natural ability or power to do something, and in this case, the ability of the brain to think and remember, and the heart to feel and live. To subsist means to stay alive or continue to exist. So, he's saying, as long as my brain and heart have the natural ability to keep going, my memory of you will remain. This line emphasizes that his memory and love for the fair youth will last at least as long as he lives, depending on what nature allows. And then says, till each to raised oblivion yield his part. In this line, Shakespeare is saying that his brain and heart will continue to remember the fair youth until they are both completely destroyed and fall into total forgetfulness. The word raised means wiped out or demolished, and oblivion means a state of forgetting or nothingness. Yield his part means to surrender their role or function. So this line suggests that only when his brain and heart can no longer function, when they are ruined by time or death, will they stop remembering the beloved. Until that final moment of destruction, the memory of the fair youth will live on strongly inside him. Of thee thy record never can be missed. It means that the memory or record of the fair youth will never be forgotten or lost. The word record means a lasting remembrance or a mental note of someone, and missed here means to be lost or absent. He is declaring that even if his brain and heart eventually fade away, the image, memory, or love of the fair youth is so deeply imprinted in his mind that it will never disappear. In simple words, he is assuring that the beloved's presence in his thoughts is permanent and unforgettable. It's a memory too important and powerful to ever be erased. And then says, that poor retention could not so much hold. Shakespeare is emphasizing that ordinary memory, which is not strong enough to keep or preserve the image and value of the fair youth. The word retention means the ability to remember, and poor suggests weakness or lack. So Shakespeare is saying that the usual human ability to remember is too weak to hold on to something as precious and deep as the memory of the beloved. This line continues the idea from earlier in the sonnet, where he says that the youth's image is engraved in his mind like writing in a notebook. Here, he explains why he had to store that memory more securely, because simple memory isn't good enough to keep something so important safe. Nor need I tallies thy dear love to score. It means that he does not need any physical tools, written marks, or external records to measure or keep track of the love he shares with the fair youth. The word tallies refers to old methods of counting or recording, like making notches on a stick, and to score means to record or mark something down. By saying this, the poet is emphasizing that the young man's love is so deeply and clearly imprinted in his heart and mind that there is no need for these artificial reminders. His emotional memory is enough. He remembers the love perfectly without needing to write it down or keep a score. This reinforces the sonnet's main idea, that true love and important memories live securely within the mind and do not rely on material objects to be preserved. Therefore, to give them from me was I bold. Shakespeare is now explaining that this is why he was brave, or confident enough, to let go of physical reminders like the writing tablets or records. The phrase "to give them from me" means to give them away or do without them. And was I bold means he made that decision with courage or confidence. So he's saying, that's why I dared to stop using written notes or objects to remember your love, because your image and memory are already securely kept in my mind. He's showing trust in the strength of his own memory and feelings, and he believes they are strong enough to preserve the young man's presence without any external help. This continues the idea that true emotional connection doesn't need to be written down, it lives within. To trust those tables that receive thee more. In the line, he is saying that he chooses to rely on his own mind and memory, the inner tables, or mental record books, to hold the image and memory of the fair youth. The word tables here refers to writing tablets, which people use to record important things. But instead of using physical ones, he's talking about the tables within his brain, his memory. The phrase receive thee more means his memory contains and understands the fair youth more deeply than any written words ever could. So, in simple terms, Shakespeare is saying, I trust my memory more than any written notes, because my heart and mind hold more of you than anything I could write down. It shows how deeply and personally the beloved lives within the poet's mind. And then says, to keep an adjunct to remember thee. Here he is saying that using any external aid, or tool, like writing or objects, to remember the fair youth would be unnecessary. The word adjunct means something added on or attached. In this case, something like a written note, a picture, or a reminder. So he's basically saying, to keep some outside thing just to help me remember you is pointless, because the memory of the beloved is already so strong and permanent in his mind. He doesn't need anything extra to recall. The youth's love or presence, it's already deeply embedded in his heart and soul. We're to import forgetfulness in me. In this final line, Shakespeare is saying that if he needed to use any outside reminder, like a written note or object, to remember the fair youth, it would actually mean he is forgetting him. The word import here means to bring in, and forgetfulness means the act of forgetting. So if he has to import a reminder, it shows that the memory is not naturally alive within him. In simple words, he's saying, if I have to use something to remember you, it would mean I'm starting to forget you, which I'm not. Therefore, keeping any physical reminder of the beloved would be an insult to the strength of his memory and love. I hope you have enjoyed this lecture, but please like the video and subscribe the channel. Thank you.